I'm gonna open Blender. Can you open Blender for me? So what we're gonna do today is just the prop modeling process to get it into like a prop, any prop or weapon to a game ready asset. I'll give you the file. Probably have it somewhere around here. I gotta find it. I'm gonna give you a base sword and the image.
It says potentially dangerous download.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Do you think I'm gonna put a virus? Don't get it better. Do you have the file?
Yes, I
Do you
do.
have it open?
Yep.
So we have these four actual objects. Okay, so let's write down the things that we gotta do because I gotta organize. Okay, so we have four objects, right? They're separate, and this is the things that we gotta do. We got to UV map and unwrapping. My handwriting is beautiful, I know. We gotta do a high poly version, which is gonna be the sculpted. After that, we gotta do a baking, and then we gotta do texturing, which is going to be just combining all of the big textures and a few other things like coloring and etc, etc. And then I think that's it. These are the things that we got to do. 4 steps pretty much. So since we have 4 objects, we have to bake them into something called a cage, which is just something that like has the same faces as the original model, but it works as for it to be kind of like baked in the high poly textures into the low poly version. But yeah, we'll figure that out once we start. Okay, so first let's go with the UV map and unwrapping. So let's go on the blade, go to edit mode. What we're gonna do is we're gonna select the edges. We're gonna try to like think of this as a origami type of texture, but that's how textures work. At least they're kind of like a paper origami type of thing that wrap around a object. So to mark the cuts of a UV unwrap, you click mark seam. Wait, before we do full on the sword, I'm gonna UV unwrap this box. I want you to see on UV editing how it looks. You see?
Mhm. Like making Minecraft textures.
Yeah, kind of like making like Minecraft textures because it's UV unwrapped. It's kind of like just an origami paste in texture, and that's what we're gonna do with the sword. Since it's a bit more complex, we gotta figure out what kind of shape should it have in order for all of the textures to wrap around nicely instead of just jagged or something. I usually just do the things that are cut or etc etc. Also, let's focus on optimization. Like right now, I have a few faces here that shouldn't be there, so I'll delete that, delete those faces, inside faces, and then we're gonna grab this. Since this is empty, there's no faces there, we're gonna mark it with seam as well. So now we have this kind of paper, quote unquote, for the texture. We have how the paper is shaped. Right here, there's like an indent though, and you gotta think, how in real life can you like sort of make that 3D indent shape, and what would you have to do? Would you
A
have to
crease.
cut on the paper in order to do this, right?
What would you have to cut?
Yeah, something like that. In order for you to like make those creases, I guess, because that's a complex shape. Like it goes inside. You see, making that in origami is a bit tough. So I'd say we could leave this like this, or we could do this. Cut this one all the way to there, right? So that way, this is gonna be kind of like separated. It's gonna be separate, but it's still gonna be kind of connected. So it's connected to this chunk over here, but then it wraps around over here. I'm not too sure if that would be the best method. We could also do another one, which is like here. Just cut it in half like this, mark seam, boom. That's another method that could also work. But honestly, I'm not like a master on UV unwrapping, so just pick whichever you like the best. Because I'm thinking that there's gonna be a texture here. It's gonna have to wrap around. So if I do a cut, it's gonna look jagged. It's not gonna like align. So I think let's leave it like that. Let's just UV unwrap it and let's see how it looks. Unwrap, and let's go UV editing. This is how it looks. So that's just one side. Since we have the mirror, please apply the mirror.
Did you do smart unwrap?
No, you just do unwrap because we already made the custom, I guess, unwrapping that the smart unwrap does. So just click unwrap to unwrap it. Go to UV editing. So now as you can see, it kind of splits. Ooh, but you see in the center there? There's like faces that collide with each other. And we don't want that because then the textures are not going to bake well. There's going to be textures on top of each other. So we have to find a way that it's nicely UV unwrapped and it doesn't have any faces kind of colliding with each other.
Okay.
Can you apply the modifier of the mirror and UV unwrap it again? And now, as you can see, it's going to have both sides. Great. So now, I want you to do the same thing for the rest of the other ones. I think I'm gonna do it in an unboxing manner. So over here is gonna wrap and loop around completely. I'm gonna mark mine and I'm gonna UV unwrap it. Boom. Okay, mine, I think I like this. It's completely here, like it does a whole loop, and then there's a few that are kind of cut. I like that. What about you? What do you got?
This is what I got.
Okay, not bad. Okay, nice. Okay. So let's grab both the blade and that one, and I want you to UV unwrap them together. You're gonna see they're gonna place each other together. So now let's do the same with the other ones. So I'm gonna mark the seams there, and just a singular one is fine, I'd say, like vertically, because it's gonna loop around technically, so it's fine. Well, you don't have to UV unwrap it, cause we're gonna UV unwrap the whole blade together. So don't worry too much about UV unwrapping it. So after I finish all of them, I'm gonna UV unwrap them together. Okay. So what we're gonna do is kind of shape the things that are most important and give it as much space as needed, right? So for example, the blade I think is one of the most important ones. So we want it to have the most like space, I guess, like the most space covered in the square. Don't size it like on axes, just kind of like find something that gives it a lot of coverage, I guess. So we got the UV unwrapping part. Well, no, we got the UV map. We don't have it on UV unwrapped. Oh, well, no, it is UV unwrapped. Anyways, anyways, let's do the high poly. So I want you to duplicate the whole weapon, the whole sword. So now I want you to go to sculpting. We're gonna sculpt now. I want you to go to the sword. What I like to do is go for each of them first, sculpt them in, and then afterwards I join them once they're baked and stuff. For remesh, you remember how we like emptied the faces? Well,
Yeah.
since we're doing the high poly one, I want you to fill those in. Okay, you got that in? Nice. So start with the blade. So let's remesh it once again. Boom. There you go. That is very weird. I don't know what's going on. I will do a higher meter count. And now, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna have to turn on the mirror on the x-axis so it does it on both sides. What we're gonna do is you're gonna detail it a bit more. What are the things that we could do? Well, what are you thinking? I want to do this. I'm gonna use these brushes that we have here. I want you to kind of add like damage to it. So let's search up damage on the brushes. And what we're gonna do is gonna make it look like this sword has went through a battle type of thing. So it should have a bunch of scratches, should have a few dents here and there. There's a few things. Go for crack. Well, not for crack. Don't go for crack. Kids, don't go for crack. Anyways, yeah, there's a few cracks that look kind of stylized.
Oh yeah, the wood ones has really nice cracks.
Yes, the wood ones are also very, very nice. So I want you to do the blade as stylized as you want, or as realistic. So let's come back in 30 minutes and let's see how the blade looks, okay?
Alright.
Oh, actually, 30 minutes to make the whole sword. What about that? You gotta sculpt it. You gotta do the same thing that we did with the blade. We're gonna do it for the other ones. Is that fine? Does that work?
Yeah, I can try, yeah.
Okay, if you need help, you can ask me, obviously. I'm gonna work on mine, work on yours. Come on, dude. 30 minutes.
A few moments later.
I'm just gonna wait.
Oh no, I'm done.
Oh, okay, cool. That's it? That's it?
You sound so like
That's it?
annoyed.
100%? Can I look at it?
Yep. Yep.
Ooh, okay. Let me see. Look, showcase it.
Yeah, it looks real nice, don't it?
Showcase it! Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I decided to do an aged wheel of cheese for the hilt.
Okay.
Then
Ooh.
Oh, that's
I
like
decided to use Groot's penis for the handle.
Okay.
Very hard to obtain.
Love that. Okay.
Extremely veiny.
And I just used some mud for this.
Okay. Okay, I like the bolts. I like the bolts. When you were like, okay, should I add bolts or not? Nice. Okay.
He kept adding
The
like
damage.
spikes to it.
Okay. Okay, I got you. Ooh. 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 I'm excited.
Those could be
Yeah,
bad.
I'm too excited, bro.
Okay. 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 Ooh. Ooh, the dance. Ooh. Ooh, yes. Keep it. Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh,
Ooh.
ooh, keep it coming.
No, 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 no. Not like that. Calm down. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna showcase mine now better.
Yeah, let me look at it.
It's right
Let's
here.
watch it, let's
Look at it. Wait, no, it's right here. It's right here. Look. It's right here. See that, Chet?
It's not nice.
You like it? So here.
Mhm.
So here. Look. I got the weird thingy, and then I got the blade. It's so nice and nice. That's right here. It's right here. I got this. I did like a button thing. I don't know why.
Kind of looks more like a yo-yo, to be honest.
Like a
You
yo.
went,
It does
you
look like a
went
yo-yo.
more cartoonish.
No, I wanted to go more for like a, I don't know, detail type of thing on it. And then I added some
Skyrim sword.
some weird ass stuff there. And then I
Yeah,
added a
what the
button
fuck? What brush did you use for the handle?
for that one. I used,
Yeah.
if you search up creature, I think
Oh, scales.
Oh, you use scales.
I use scales, and then you can just drag them, and then it does that effect. So yeah.
Damn.
And then that, and then some damage effects, and then that's it. That is all. Okay. Do you wanna? Are you ready for baking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So now I want you to duplicate this one, the basic one. I want you to put it at the same like position where the high poly one is. Same exact position, or it doesn't have to be exactly. Now you're gonna duplicate it.
Again?
Yes. You're gonna duplicate it. You're gonna right click. You're gonna go edit mode. Okay. You can start by the blade. Let's start with the blade. So you scale it until it covers all of the high poly one. Okay. So this one is gonna be a cage. It has to cover everything that the high poly one has. So for example, you seeing this one that the handle goes like now from the low poly one. So what I'm gonna have to do is just scale it until it covers it completely. It's fine if it looks chunky and weird. It's fine because it's not gonna be the sword. It's just the cage, like I was talking about earlier today actually. Earlier.
For like collision type stuff.
Yes, it's for the baking, pretty much. What we're gonna do now is bake it. Go for the cage, right? Select all of the pieces that are in a cage and set it into a collection. Name that cage, I guess. Right? Then let's hide the cage, right? So now grab the low poly one as well and move it to a collection called low poly and hide it. So we're gonna organize everything, and the high poly sculpted one, a collection, high poly. So now, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna have the collections turned on, and we're just gonna select one of the parts of the blade, and we're gonna turn it on for each collection: the cage, the low poly, and the high poly. Only the single one. I don't know if you get that. Go to the scene, render properties, and you're gonna change the render to cycles. Go to shading. So select the low poly one, add a material, name it sword, and we're gonna add an image, right? An image texture. So let's call this sword normal map. I put like an underscore and M abbreviation for normal map. So this map is gonna be the whole sword's texture for normal map, not only the blade but the whole sword. So now this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna bake only the blade into this normal map. But later on, you're gonna have to bake the other objects back to this sword normal map. So this normal map is gonna work for all of the objects inside of the sword. So we got the blade low poly, and go to the render properties once again, and go to bake. We're gonna change the bake type to normal, and under that there should be something that says selected to active. It's under influence. You're gonna click that, check that on, and you're gonna click cage. Click cage. The cage object, I assume you know which one it is. So select the high poly blade first, and then you select the low poly, and you click bake. And in theory, it should bake in normal map texture for the sword. So you can see I have it here. I'm going to turn off the high poly and the cage. Now I want you to see how the normal map looks. I'm going to put a normal map node. I'm going to put this in normal. There's a few other textures that basically kind of pop up those textures. It makes it look way better. Like it will add shadows, it will increase the color and all that stuff. It's gonna be an ambient occlusion and pointiness map. If you go to the baking, you see the bake type? Click the bake type. So there's ambient occlusion, but before you bake it, you'd have to create a new texture image.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense because we're making a new layer.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm following along.
So you have to make a new texture image. You're gonna name it ambient occlusion, for example, and then you're gonna do the same process. Since you already made the ambient occlusion map, you're gonna use exactly the same image for all of the objects. You don't have to create new ambient occlusion maps because they're gonna have to be combined. That's why we UV unwrapped it. Do you remember how everything just fit into one square?
Yeah.
It's exactly for that.
Okay, so you only have to do it for this one, and then you apply this texture to the low poly things, and then you're just done.
Yes, but you have to bake all of them, obviously, because you just baked the blade, so it will only apply to the blade. You're gonna have to have that selected.
And then I select the high poly one first, and
Low
then
poly. Remember, yeah, no, you have the cage, so that's good. And then you bake. Bottom left, it's gonna appear. Let it load.
let it load, let it show up and load.
And you're gonna see the blade, but just black and white. Once you have the ambient occlusion, plug it in the base color. Yes. So ambient occlusion is usually kind of added onto the color map. So let me do exactly the same thing that you made. Okay.
A few moments later.
So now let's do this. Enter in a geometry node. So just Shift A, add in geometry. Go to the high poly blade, right? If you want, you can hide the low poly so it doesn't annoy you. On that blade, on the high poly blade, I want you to add the material. And what we're gonna do is this thing that is gonna just boost up the sculpting and stuff that we did. I don't know. Okay, so you added the geometry and you added the color ramp. Connect them in, and I want you to Control Shift select the color so you can view it. So go into the rendering preview, because it's gonna show up only in rendering. So I want you to tweak up the color ramp and set it where the little cuts are darker and the rest of the sword is lighter. So it just adds that kind of like pointiness, I guess. I don't know. So it has to be like super marked to the point where you can see all of the cuts. With that, I want you to make another, we're gonna make another image texture, and we're gonna call this pointiness. And I assume you know what we're gonna do, right?
Bake it with the pointiness thing.
Yes, but since this is a kind of image type of thing, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something different. We're gonna do an emission node. So put in an emission node. You're gonna connect the color ramp to an emission. And instead of baking something in the bake tab where it says pointiness, because that doesn't exist, we're gonna bake in the emission. So emit. That way it's gonna just bake in whatever we just are passing through that emission. So select the pointiness, select the high poly blade, select the low poly blade, and bake that emitness. It's gonna take a bit in order to bake.
How long does it take you to bake?
Pretty a few minutes. Just not too long. But the whole process, because we are just making the blade, the whole process is it's painful, because you're gonna have to do the blade, you're gonna have to do the hilt, you're gonna have to do the handle, you're gonna have to do the other thing, and you're gonna make multiple texture maps. Save that image fast so it doesn't crash on you, because like there's sometimes that like you think you saved it, it doesn't save, and then you gotta bake it again, and it's very painful. If you want to check how it looks, the pointiness on the sword, just Control Shift click that and see on the low poly version how like it still like looks detailed, and the ambient occlusion is there, so you can use both. It's incredible. Anyways, you're gonna add a mix node now. We're gonna combine pointiness and ambient occlusion, and we're gonna kind of like just play around with them until it looks nice and sweet, I guess. So color
Mix shader or just mix?
Just mix. And click where it says float and change that to color. But now I want to do something. I want to bring up the ambient occlusion. So let's put a color ramp to that. And I'm gonna see how it looks. I'm gonna bring it super up. Yes, it's gonna look super dark and stuff, but it's fine. It's cool. Just click on multiply, tweak it a bit more. What this does, or what we're doing, is just adding shadows with the ambient occlusion. If you put it to like, I don't know, 0.033, you're only gonna see the pointiness. But if you add in the ambient occlusion, it kind of like gets darker on the parts where they're supposed to be a bit darker. So now we're gonna do another mix. I'm gonna mix,
Okay.
and this is gonna be a multiply, obviously. And here is gonna be the color that you want for the blade. Right now you can set a basic color, but later on we're gonna have to do a texture where you paint in. I think that's gonna be a bit later on if you want to do that. But just set a color that you want and set the factor to 1 and change the 1 on the bottom. That's gonna be the color. So that's gonna be the color of the blade. For now, it's just a single color. So if you set this material to the other parts of the sword, it's gonna look great. For that, you'd have to actually make a color map where you'd have to paint in everything. Right now, we're not gonna do that because that's gonna take a while. But as you can see, we technically have it. We have the pointiness, we have the ambient occlusion. What I usually do is that I combine the pointiness and the ambient occlusion through all of these nodes. You remember how we baked in the pointiness with an emission?
Yeah.
So we do the same thing. We do, out of the multiply, I do a combined map. So we don't have a bunch of group of nodes and we just have a single image. But yeah, it's a big process. But for now, that's what we have, man. I think that's good for now. What are you thinking? Look at the blade. Just look at the blade. Just look at the blade. Just look at your blade, bro. Just look at your blade. Okay, you can set it on material preview mode so I can see it. Okay, let's see how it looks. Awesome. Okay. Yeah.
Baking
Yeah.
has to be done in cycles.
Yes, baking has to be done in cycles. It cannot be done in Eve. But yeah, okay. So that's pretty much how you do it. We can continue on for your next class. But you have the base down. You can continue on if you want with the other objects. And for we would have to push in or like move the coloring and the texturing a bit further. But you have the baking down, so that's good. Well, I think that's it for the class. So thank you very much, Better. Thank you very much for watching. And that is all. Well, thank you all.
All right.